Good morning, guys, or good afternoon, whether you're joining me from the present or the future. Welcome back to another FutureFight Vanguard video. Hope you guys are enjoying your Saturday as we get into the second of our 3 videos today, as we finish out our Bang Dream FutureFight videos. So today we're going to be talking about the V-TB01, aka Bang Dream, the Roselia deck. So this deck doesn't really, even though it's an archetype, just like the other Bang Dream decks, it doesn't really have a specific caveat to it. It just focuses on generic effects like good draws, soul charging, restanding, stuff like that. So the kind of in play of the deck is to build a bunch of soul, and then you use your soul to help your Vanguard restand with some of the music orders. And then they have a couple other generic good music orders as well. So it's just a generically good restander deck, I guess. And yeah, there's not much to be said about it, but we're gonna get right into the video here. If you guys haven't already, be sure to subscribe down below and click the bell button so you don't have to miss a single Cardfight Empire video going forward. Also, be sure to like the video if you like it. Comment down below letting me know your thoughts on the video or the deck, or if you have your own build or what you think. Also, be sure to share the video with your family, with your friends, with whoever you play Vanguard with, your rivals, what have you. Also, be sure to check out my second channel down in the description below, Let's Plays Animes. That's where I cover things related to anime, animation, and video games. And also be sure to check out our combined Twitch, which is LPA Empire, down in the description below as well. Last thing, if you guys want to support the channel a little bit more than usual, just go ahead and check out that join button next to the subscribe button down below. Really helps the channel stay alive, and it helps show if you guys really want to, support in an extra way. But with that being said, let's get right into today's deck. So, like I said, we're talking about the Roselia deck. So, normal things that you guys should know by now of watching the other Bang Dream Future Fights that I've had is, all the regular things about Bang Dream decks, how the music orders work, etc. So, music orders are something that is specific to Bang Dream. And they basically go, instead of like using them as like a spell type card, like if you played Yu-Gi-Oh before, instead of them working like a spell card, you playing it and then it goes to the drop zone after it does its effect. Basically, the ones for music order for Bang Dream, they stay on the field the entire turn behind your Vanguard, and they actually act as kind of like a rear guard. So they have a bunch of rear guard effects that allow you to do certain things, and that's how the deck gets its power plays and starts doing the things that it does. So let's go right into our grade 3 here, which is going to be Blue Rose Diva Yukina Minato. So what Yukina does is she has 2 Vanguard abilities. The first one is when she attacks. If a Roselia music card was played during this turn, this unit gets plus 5,000 power until the end of that battle for each grade of your opponent's Vanguard. So this means that if your opponent is grade 1, she'll be getting 5k. If your opponent's grade 2, she'll be getting 10k. And if your opponent is grade 3, you will be getting plus 15k. And then if your opponent is grade 4 for whatever reason, then your opponent then you will be getting plus 20k to your Vanguard. So very, very good card, especially because this the idea of the deck is to restand her as an attacker. So the fact that she gets power just makes her really good. And you can either go Force 1 or Force 2 because of the power that she gets. I go Force 1 when I'm showcasing the deck to you guys, just because I feel like, the more, like, the later in the game you get, the higher power a restander has, the harder it is for your opponent to block when they don't have a PG. Whereas Force 2, they can block it because it's always the same power. So if they have, a certain amount of shield in their hand, that's not going to change by rewriting or anything like that. So the numbers are going to stay the same. So that's why I use Force 1, but you guys are welcome to use Force 2, especially since this card does get power when it attacks. So it would not be a bad idea to use Force 2 in this deck. The second Vanguard ability is if an order was not played during this turn, you can choose to counterblast 1 during your main phase. Search your deck for up to search your deck or drop zone for up to 1 Roselia music card. Play it, and if you searched your deck, shuffle your deck. So all of the Bang Dream grade 3s for the most part have this ability to be able to go get the music orders out of the deck, which means that you don't have to worry about digging for them or having to draw into them or anything, which is obviously a really, really good effect with the music orders being the main cards that we go for the plays in this deck or any Bang Dream deck. So it just makes it very, very good that you can search them out at any time and use them. So moving on to our grade 2s, we have 4 Quiet Enthusiasm Yukina Minato. So this is our grade 2 Yukina. So this is our ideal Vanguard ride target as well. So it has 2 Vanguard abilities. The first one is during your turn, if a Roselia music card was played during this turn, this unit gets plus 5,000 power. So pretty simple there. And then the second ability is when placed on the Vanguard circle, you can soul charge 2. And then if 1 or more Roselia cards were soul charged, draw a card. So again, don't forget that your orders count as Roselia cards. So if you soul charge like a, an order and a trigger, like I've seen people not draw for the skill because they don't think that they soul charged a Roselia card. The only way that you don't draw a card is if you soul charge 2 triggers, which is kind of like a punishment in my opinion. Like they definitely should have kind of reworded this ability in my exact opinion, because if you soul charge 2 triggers, you're not only losing out on 2 triggers, which is extra negative, but you're also not drawing a card from Yukina, so it kind of sucks. But most of the time, I would say all the time, you don't even have to worry about that, because most of the time you just soul charge 2 Roselias, or you soul charge a Roselia and a trigger. It's usually not 2 triggers off the top. Then moving on to our next grade 2, we have 4 Outflowing Passion, Lisa Imai. So what Lisa does is she has 2 abilities. The first one is when retired from the guard circle, you may put this unit into your soul. So whether you guard with her from your hand or you intercept and then she would be retired from the guard circle, either way, after she guards, she goes to the soul, which is really helpful for you because, like I said, your ideal restand in this deck comes from the amount of soul that you have. Specifically, it requires you to Soul Blast 4, so you want to build as much soul as you can as possible, and that's kind of what this deck does with the skills anyways. So the second skill of Lisa is when she's placed on the rear guard circle, soul charge 1, and one of your other Roselia units gets plus 5,000 power. So again, this is another opportunity to give your restanding Vanguard plus 5,000 power to make it harder for your opponent to block. And usually we just always target our Vanguard when we use Lisa's skill, just because it's going to be the one restanding it and causing the most pressure to our opponent in that turn. Next up, we have our last grade 2 in the deck, which is for Player of Silence, Sayo Hikawa. So what Sayo does is she has 2 rearguard abilities. The first one is if a Roselia music card was played during this turn, this unit gets plus 5,000 power, so it becomes a 15k beater by itself, obviously boosted by an 8k, that's 23, which is an amazing number on any type of Vanguard. And then its second rearguard ability is at the end of the battle that it attacked a Vanguard. If your Vanguard is Roselia, which it always will be in this deck, you can put this unit into your soul and draw a card. So again, building your soul, giving you some pluses, and giving you some card advantage to your hand in exchange for getting soul, which is what we want in this deck anyways. So very, very, very good card. Moving on to our grade 1s, we have 4 Dying World Yukina Minato. So this is our grade 1 Yukina. So grade 1 Yukina says on Vanguard Rearguard Circle, when placed, you can look at the top 5 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 grade 2 or greater Roselia card from among them, put into your hand, shuffle your deck, and if you put a card, discard a card. So this is our typical check top 5, get a grade 3, but it's better than usual because you check top 5 and you can get any grade 2 or any grade 3 that you see. Which obviously you have a lot of grade 2s and a lot of, you have only 4 grade 3s. So if you find a grade 3 in there, and you don't have one, you can get it. If you already have a grade 3 and you find a useful grade 2, you can get that as well. And that's just very, very good. Also, if you go second, it just makes it always worth because you're always getting that quick shield for the free discard. So that's very, very good. Moving on to our next grade 1, we have 4 Little Demonic Lord Eiko Udagawa. So what Eiko does is on the rearguard circle, she has 2 abilities. So the first one is when placed on the rearguard circle, you look at the top 5 cards from your deck and then reveal up to 1 card with Rinko Shirikane in its card name from among them, put into your hand and shuffle your deck. And then the second ability is when its attack or the attack that it boosted hits, you may soul charge 1. So pretty decent card here, allows you to soul charge, which is obviously what we want like we were talking about, but it also allows you to check top 5 for a Rinko Shirikane, which is the next grade 1 that we're going to go over, and add it to hand, and then you don't have to discard or anything, so it's just a free add if you do find the card, which is pretty cool. And they also work off of each other because what Rinko Shirikane does, which is 4 refreshing research Rinko Shirikane. So what this card does is on rearguard circle, if you have a unit with Eiko Udagawa in its card name on your Vanguard or rearguard circle, this unit gets plus 5,000, so it becomes a 13k attacker or booster. Very good. And its other rearguard ability is when its attack or the attack that it boosted hits, you can counterblast 1 and draw a card. So if you have these cards in the same column, not only do they make a 21k column, but if that 21k column hits, especially like if your opponent's on their grade 2 turn or something like that, or even their grade 1 turn, you can place this and try to get off advantage early by counterblasting one. When the attack hits, you can counterblast one, draw a card, and then you can also soul charge with Echo. So getting you started off well very early on. So moving on to our grade zeros, we have one start bell, Yukina Minato. So this is our regular draw a card starter when rode upon. And then if our opponent's Vanguard is grade 1 or greater, we put a quick shield ticket into our hand. So we have different discard effects in this deck. So if you get that quick shield ticket, definitely make use of it and get your free card advantage. If not, this card just draws a card just like everything else, and then it is a card that stays in your soul. So, it's just adding to your soul early on, just so that you can fulfill that restand requirement to try to clutch out the game against your opponent. Then we have 8 critical, 4 draw, and 4 heal. We have 8 glittering memories, which you can run up to 12 glittering memories in a deck, and that's why we're running 8 of the same crit. Obviously, we're running the Roselia themed ones. And then we have the draw PG, which is everyone made the #1 stage. This is our draw trigger sentinel. And then we have 4 best live, which is the Roselia best live, basically. And now let's go over the order cards that we skipped, because in any Bang Dream deck, the order cards are where the deck truly shines. So let's go over that. So first of all, we have Firebird, which is basically our ace card music order. So Firebird is something that you play basically, I would say, when you're on grade 3. But you can use it on grade 2. I just would not suggest it. But basically, its rearguard ability is once per turn. At the end of the battle, that's your Vanguard with Yukina Minato and its card name attacked. Soul Blast 4 cards, discard a card from your hand, stand your Vanguard, and it gets -1 drive until the end of the turn. So this is really not a minus of a restand. It's pretty much a break even when you do the restand, because you will be getting 1 drive check and then you're losing 1 drive check. So basically, you discard 1 card and you're getting 1 card from your singular drive check. So very, very good card. And Soul Blast 4 is definitely not hard to achieve in this deck. So having Soul Blast 4 for the effect is not bad at all, and really helps get this off early to try to start clutching games against your opponent. You can even do it immediately when you ride to grade 3, and if your opponent's on grade 2, they would definitely have a harder time blocking that double restand. Then we have Brave Jewel as our grade 2 music order card. Now, this is actually my favorite order card in the deck, even though you don't use it that much, because this deck can really screw over specific decks like other Bang Dream decks that need their pieces, but you can screw over any deck that needs their pieces on board, because basically its rearguard ability is once per turn. When your Roselia's attack does not hit, any Roselia, so if your Vanguard rearguard Roselia, the attack does not hit, then you can counterblast 1, and then you choose one of your opponent's rearguards and you retire it, and then if a unit was retired, you draw the same number of cards as that unit's grade. So this is really good, because if your opponent has a grade 3, a strong grade 3 unit on the board, you can attack them, and then when they if they block it, it punishes them, because you'll basically counterblast 1, you'll snipe that grade 3, and then you'll draw 3 cards. So no one wants you to just Pot of Greed +1 for free. So they usually, will either take your attacks, or if they have no choice but to guard, you punish them for that, which is really, really great. So you're really only using this card to get into more of your cards so that you can eventually use Firebird. And I only use this on turns where I have a counterblast available and I don't have the 4 soul available to be able to do Firebird. So keep that in mind. Then for our grade 1 order card, we have Black Shout. So I should also mention that we run 2 Firebirds, 2 Black Shout, and 1 Brave Jewel, because these 2 come up more than Brave Jewel does. But 2 Black Shout. Black Shout just says when placed, draw a card until your units get plus 5,000 power. Very, very simplistic, but very, very, very good, because it changes the rearguard numbers and your Vanguard numbers of 2 things. And then basically, if one of those cards that you're increasing is your Vanguard, and you can't go for the restand on that turn, because obviously if you have Black Shout out, you cannot have Firebird out, but it does help you put some pressure on your opponent, especially when let's say that you open up with a hand of grade 1s and 2s, that you can just ride your grade 1, and if one of those cards in your hand is Black Shout, you can play this right here on the grade 1 turn and just draw yourself an additional card and hopefully get yourself a 3. So yeah, that has been the deck, and then we're gonna get right into the games here. So loading up our Roselia game 1. We're actually playing against Genesis here. We're slated to go first, so our hand's pretty decent, but we do not have a grade 3. So we ride into Yukina Minato. We check top 5. We do get the grade 3 Yukina, and then we put the rest of the cards back to our deck, shuffle, and then we discard a card. So we chose to discard Eiko Utagawa here. Our opponent draws and rides into Artemis and attacks us for 8. We no guard. He gets a draw trigger, drawing a card. We ride into the grade 2 Yukina. We soul charge 2, and as you guys can see, we soul charged a Firebird and a crit, so we drew a card. Then we play these two rear guards, Sayo and Yukina. This is actually my first time playing the deck, so if I make any mistakes, don't hold it against me. But we did attack with our rear guard, which our opponent took and did not get a trigger, and then took our Vanguard and we hit a crit. And then we guard for 28, he blocks it. And we blocked his Vanguard for a no pass because we want to stay at low damage early. This is another good thing about this deck, is that the only thing that you really need counterblast for are the draw off of Rinko and the skill of Yukina Minato herself, or the grade 2 order card. So your restand is completely counterblastless, so there's nothing that your opponent can do to prevent you from trying to get your restand off. Like, they can't damage deny you or anything like that, which makes this very, very solid. So we soul blast 4 and we discard a card. And then we restand our Vanguard and attack for 33 again. This forces our opponent to throw some extra shield and no pass it. And then we check the draw trigger, which went to rear guard, and then he blocks that as well. So he goes for Battle Deity of the Night Artemis, and actually goes Force 2, interestingly enough. And then proceeds to play Perseus of Moral Right. So Perseus attacks us and does his skill to draw 2 cards, put 1 in the soul. The Artemis attacks us, which we 2 to pass. And because he had the divine gauge, we were like, oh, please don't, 2 to pass us, because that would be tragic. But we do take 2 damage from the rear guard, and it ends up being 2 of our grade 3 Yukinas, which is unfortunate, but not completely, terrible. We do, as you guys can see, we do have 2 soul at the beginning of the turn. So we play 2 of our grade 2s to soul blast 2, and then we go for grade 3 Yukina Minato to call back out Firebird. We attack for 18. And then we attack, we hit, so we do Rinko to counterblast 1, draw a card, and then we attack for 33. Our opponent 2 to passes us. We get nothing, and then we use the skill to Soul Blast 4 and discard, and then we attack again. He PGs, we don't get a trigger, so this can't hit over here. Our music order retires, and then we pass the turn back over to him. He goes for riding Battle Deity of the Night Artemis again, getting another Force 2 and activating another Perseus skill. And then we intercept for a 2 to pass. Here he does not get it, and he attacks us for 18 to our rear guard, which we take with ease. And we do not have 4 soul once again, so we play a grade 1 Yukina Minato to get a grade 2 or greater. We actually get a grade 3 just in case he survives, which we're pretty sure he won't, but just in case. We discard a card, and then we use Yukina to actually get, we were going to get the grade 2 order, but I realized that I didn't have a counterblast to spare, so I actually went and got the grade 1 order. So we drew a card and gave 2 of our units plus 5k, just making the rear guard columns even bigger, and it made it, just impossible for him to block. So that ends up being the Roselia game 1. So loading up game 2 of Roselia here. We're actually playing against Royal Paladin, MLB to be exact. And then we open up our hand. We have a decent hand, but again, we don't have a grade 3. So we ride grade 1 Yukina, check top 5. We get a grade 2, so we still don't have a grade 3. And then we discard our quick shield. We attack, we get a crit. Our opponent takes 2 damage, one of those being a draw, so pretty good for our opponent. Our opponent attacks for 10, which we proceed to no pass. And then we ride the grade 2 Yukina, so we soul charge 2. And we draw a card. For a turn, we actually drew the grade 3, which is pretty dope. But we drew a card, and unfortunately, soul charged a heal. So we play these grade 2s here so we can get our advantage started off properly with our soul. So that goes to soul. We draw a card after it attacks, and then we attack for 10. He no passes that, and then we attack with this other column. He blocks that as well, going to soul and drawing us a card. So he draws for turn, rides into Majesty Lord Blaster, giving the force to his Vanguard. So he goes for playing Stall Card Trumpeter, counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, add a Blaster back from his drop zone. He plays the Blaster Blade, and then he goes for playing When Light and Darkness Intersect so that he can get a Blaster Dart and add it to his hand. He proceeds to play the Blaster Dart, and he does counterblast 1 so that he can destroy our Rinko, which is fine with us. We didn't really particularly need it. But he goes for Star Call Trumpeter one more time, just to add a When Light and Darkness Intersects back to his hand. So we block with that 5k so that I can go to Soul, again preparing us for our win con. So he attacks for 20, we block again. And then he attacks with Majesty Lord Blaster, putting 2 rear guards into the soul. And getting 2 force markers, which he puts on Vanguard. And then he thought that he had 3 drive and 2 crit, but he actually, since he didn't put Blaster Blade in, he didn't have a Blaster Blade in the soul to fulfill the condition. So he put one back in shuffle. Clearly a misplay on his part, but we ride into Yukina Minato. We call 2 grade 2s. We play Firebird from our hand so we don't have to waste a counterboss to go search it. And then our Sayo, because we played a Roselia music card, gets 5,000. So we attack rearguard for 10. He blocks that. We attack Vanguard for 23. And he proceeds to no guard. So we no guard, we get a crit. We give crit to Vanguard, power to rearguard. And then we use our skill of Firebird to Soul Blast 4, discard, and restand. So our opponent PGs just like we thought that he probably would. And we do check a draw trigger, putting the power to our rearguard and draw. And then we attack for 35, and our opponent is unable to block it. So he has to take it, but he does 6 damage heal. So, yeah, the game continues. But he rerides Majesty Lord Blaster, putting yet another force marker down. And then also plays when Light and Darkness intercepts, getting another Blaster Dart. Plays the Blaster Dart, counterboss 1 to get rid of my grade 2 Yukina. And then plays Wingle Brave for a booster. We go ahead and block that because we don't want him to plus for free. And then we get attacked for 20, which we take. We get a draw trigger. And then he puts 2 cards into soul, this time finally getting off his condition. And we no guard it, just hoping that he won't double crit us. And he does not even check a single crit trigger, so that's very good for us. In future turns, we're able to, save a draw PG. So we ride into another Yukina, putting another Force 1 on our Vanguard, which is useful because now he's gone up to 18k base. We go for playing Lisa, and we give another 5k to Vanguard. We go for looking at top 5 from Eiko to get a Rinko, and we don't have it. However, we do have a Rinko in our hand, so that works out just fine because we're able to make a column over here. So for Vanguard Skill, we counterboss 1, and we search our deck for a Firebird, just thinning out our deck to check more triggers, even though we have a Firebird in our drop zone that we could have searched. But you want to always get the music order from your deck when you can, because obviously it's thinning out your deck, and you don't have to worry about drawing those music order cards. So we attack our opponent PGs, we Soul Blast 4, and we restand. We attack for 2 crit, 38. And he was saying what his chances are of hitting a 6 damage heal again. And basically he would have to hit double 6 damage heal if he took Vanguard. So we attack him with the rear guard, and he takes that and does not get a heal. So that ends up being game 2. So you guys see that we powered through even a, I would say a relevant deck like MLB, checking a 6 damage heal. However, he did do that misplay earlier in the game where he did not get his triple drive or whatnot. But game 3 we're playing against DI. We actually ride into our grade 1, and then we play a Black Shout to draw a card because we don't have a grade 3. So we're trying desperately to get into our grade 3. Our opponent goes for top 5 with Succubus and Pure Love, and we block it with a 15. And then we go for a Yukina. We Soul Charge 2. We draw a card. We play another Yukina, and then we play a Rinko. We attack for 10. Our opponent guards with a Quick Shield for 1 to pass. We do not get it, but we do get a grade 3, so I'll take that any day over being grade locked and having to G-assist. But our opponent attacks for 9 to Vanguard. We no guard, making it 1 to pass. He checks a crit trigger. We check double crit triggers on damage. And then we go for Rinko. I was actually hoping that he checked a trigger to pass anyways, because we definitely don't have an order in our hand, and we want to be able to counterboss 1 to get our order card. We didn't want to make our grade 2 turn or our grade 3 turn a weak grade 3 turn. So we go for Yukina, we counterboss 1, and we go ahead and search our deck for a Firebird so that we can get that restand off. So we shuffle, we attack for 21, and then we attack for 23. After we hit with this, we counterboss 1 to draw a card, and we Soul Charge. So then we attack for 23. Our opponent no guards, and we do check a heal trigger, healing down 1. And then we use the skill, Soul Blast 4, and discard 1 to restand, and we attack for 23 again. Our opponent no guards, so he takes the attack, and then we attack for 33, and our opponent takes the attack as well. So we put our opponent to 5 damage pretty early on. I can see that his hand is pretty trash. He only has 3 cards in his soul, so even if he was to, like, you know, play these number of terrors in his hand, it wouldn't do much. So he attacks for 12, and when he drive checks, he doesn't get anything. We do take a damage, but only because he was supposed to add power to his Vanguard, so we knew that it was bigger than 12 anyways. So we re-ride Yukina Minato, and we play down the grade 1 Yukina Minato so that we can get a grade 2, so that we could get a soul, because we basically were trying to achieve 4 soul. So we were able to do that, and we counter boss 1, and we go ahead and get a Firebird from our deck. And then when we attacked for 21 here, our opponent left the game, so it doesn't show that in the recording, obviously, but I guess our opponent didn't think that he could guard our attacks. I mean, he does have 2 PGs in his hand, so he would have been able to block Vanguard, but as far as the rear guards, I don't think he would have been able to block, so I think he just left the game because of that. So, you guys, that was actually the last final game of the Roselia Future Fight video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like on the video, comment down below letting me know what you think about the Roselia decks. Do you prefer, you know, more generic abilities like the Roselia deck, or do you prefer one of the other archetypes that kind of do more things? I think the Roselia deck is fine. It basically just, you know, restands, and restanding is always good in Vanguard. Like, it's very rare that it's bad for pressure. But anyways, that has been the Future Fight Vanguard video. Check out my second channel, Let's Plays Animes, down in the description below. Check out that join button next to the subscribe button. And with that being said, this has been Josh from Cardfight Empire, and I'll see you guys on the 3rd video of the day. Hello, happy world. But peace, guys.